So we want to bring you an update right at the top of the show tonight to the Virginia governor's race. That race took a bizarre and deeply revealing turn today. So several people carrying torches, neo-Nazis, showed up in front of a campaign bus for Glenn Youngkin. He's the Republican candidate in that race. They chanted, "We're all in for Glenn." So the entire internet exploded, of course. Every left-wing influencer on Twitter was telling you, see, Glenn Youngkin's a Nazi. But it turns out these weren't actually Glenn Youngkin supporters. It's an amazing story, really. And Fox's Kevin Corke has it for us now. Hey, Kevin.
Amazing indeed, my friend. Evening, Tucker. When in doubt, just try the race card. At least that's what critics argue is really at play in Virginia. A desperate attempt by Democrats, they say, to impugn by association the GOP gubernatorial candidate Glenn Youngkin because their man, Terry McAuliffe, is trailing in the polls with time running out. Tonight, the liberal activist group Lincoln Project is claiming responsibility for that demonstration outside of Youngkin's campaign bus that recalled the 2017 Charlottesville attack, sending operatives dressed up as, quote, Unite the Right attendees. However, the McAuliffe team is saying this was not us or anyone affiliated with our campaign, that according to their spokesman. However, several members, Tucker, of their staff promoted the hoax for hours online before deleting their posts. Just a couple I can share with you. This from Jen Goodman. This is disgusting and disqualifying. Another campaign spokesperson said the Unite the Right rally was one of the darkest days in the Commonwealth's history. This is who Glenn Youngkin supporters are. Obviously, we know these were not Glenn Youngkin supporters. These were all actors. And I can tell you this, too. There are a lot of people who are talking about it, including Glenn Greenwald. He says the McAuliffe campaign condemned the stunt after they spent all day pushing it as proof of Youngkin's racist ties. I can also share this, Tucker. There's credible evidence to suggest at least one of the so-called actors was herself a Democratic operative with a @Joe Biden as part of her Twitter page bio. That is, of course, before it was changed and later locked. Tucker?
Amazing. Kevin Corke, I can't wait to hear the details of this. Thank you so much.
You bet.
So it's a shocking and remarkable story, but the timing of it was also pretty incredible. It was just, I don't know, maybe 12 hours ago that the rest of the country was lectured by Liz Cheney, by Nancy Pelosi, by the entire edifice of the American left that false flags aren't real. Nobody in this country, no political actor would ever pretend to be somebody else in order to discredit political opponents. That's a conspiracy theory. It's racist, actually, even to suggest that. And yet that's what this looks like. In fact, that's what this was. So speaking of Glenn Greenwald, you just heard his name. Glenn Greenwald is the most independent of independent journalists. He writes on Substack, among other places, and we're always grateful to have him on the show. Glenn, thanks so much for coming on tonight. So I feel a little uncomfortable acknowledging that we might be looking at what they call a false flag operation.
Yeah, it's the classic false flag operation, and it was spread all day by the very same people who claim constantly that misinformation, disinformation, and fake news are such grave menaces that you need to give them the power to censor the internet in the name of stopping it. MSNBC analysts, Democratic Party operatives, people who are associated with DNC super PACs like the Lincoln Project. And it isn't just that they spread disinformation on purpose in order to manipulate the outcome of an election. Obviously, they did that. But they used the exact tactic, which is making it seem like an event comes from one source when, in fact, it comes from another, that they have essentially tried to prohibit any of us from investigating or inquiring when it comes to January 6th and the FBI, even though we know for a fact that the FBI, like them now, uses that tactic constantly.
What I find, and I'm so glad that you made that point because it's true, and you've got more than a decade of writing about this. But this, once again, is an example of a political party turning the conversation to sort of the moral quality of its opponents and ignoring the issues. Like, there's a real debate going on in Virginia over to what extent parents should control school curricula, and I think it's an interesting debate. They're not engaging in the debate. They're calling the other guy racist. Is there some point in our politics when we can get back to arguing about the issues, or is that done?
Well, I think from the perspective of the Democratic Party, they realize that if the debate takes place in terms of what are they actually going to do for voters, who it is who funds them, who controls them, who they serve, if the truth about their agenda is actually revealed, they're going to lose elections. That was the lesson they learned in 2016. And the lesson they took from that was not, oh, let's revise and rework our ideology and make sure we're doing things for people that improve their lives so they'll vote for us.
Right.
It was, let's call everybody as many names as we can and destroy their reputation so they're too afraid to challenge us. We'll call them Kremlin agents. We'll call them white nationalists. We'll call them racists. And this is the most important part of this that happened today, Tucker, I think, is that the Democratic Party believes it owns race, that it owns the discourse around race, that it owns the accusations of racism. They believe that they have become such good people, primarily white liberals who engineered this today, that racism is now their little toy, their little weapon that they get to exploit and play with anytime they want. It's not a serious issue to them. They have no real convictions about it. It's just something that they use for fun to destroy anybody's reputation who opposes them. And today provided the most vivid example of how they do that.
Do you think that there will ever be, in this case or any other going forward, a moment where the people who cover this stuff pause and say, maybe I should learn something from what I'm watching?
The reason I don't think that will happen, it happened, for example, in the Iraq War, right? The media got the Iraq War wrong, and there was some self-reflection. The New York Times in 2004 said, we got this very wrong. We apologize. Here's what we did. That never happens here. That didn't happen with Russiagate. It won't happen with things like this. And the reason is they have the mindset of fanatics. They believe that their cause is so just. They think they're fighting Nazism, the movement of Donald Trump, which is going to, end democracy. They believe they're such good and benevolent people that whatever tactics they use, including lying, including smearing people's reputations, is justified because they're involved in this war that is so noble. That really is what they think. So even if they get caught lying and cheating and breaking rules and even breaking the law, they believe that there should be no accountability. They're happy that the people who did this did it. They probably are only mad that they got caught, but there'll never be professional consequences for them because they encourage this. This is what this climate fosters and incentivizes.
You don't grow if you do that. You got to admit when you're wrong. I supported the Iraq War in 2003, and in 2003 I apologized for it, and I really meant it. And I think that's how you grow, right? I mean, you can't keep lying about who you are. Glenn Greenwald, I appreciate your coming on and for your really wise analysis as always.
Good to be with
Thank
you, Tucker. Thanks.